Hey guys, welcome to Newswave, your daily weekday show for all things video game and technology related. There's a lot of different things we have to talk about today, some of it good, some of it kind of bad, so let's just get started here. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is Ryzen 5. Now we all know about how Ryzen 7 has been shown off in detail with different benchmarks, relating it to obviously all the i7s for different gaming results and encoding results as well. Let's say you're doing video and you want to render your video, they've done all of that. And now it looks like Ryzen 5, a CPU that is due out soon, has now been leaked onto the market. This leak comes courtesy of a YouTuber by the name of Santiago, and they managed to get their hands on a Ryzen 5 1400, which is a 4-core, 8-thread CPU. And these are being like heavily NDA'd all over the place, just so people don't put these performance gains or anything out yet. They want to give everyone a chance to get them, run them through their pace as well, reviewers especially, and when leaks like these happen, these can kind of hurt those media outlets, especially there's a lot of YouTubers that have to do it as well and abide by the NDAs. Well, this person managed to get a hold of one. They proved it with like receipts and everything, with different parts blurred out, and it looks like the Ryzen 5 1400 is going to give Intel some issues with their i5 line. And we see here that there are different benchmarks they are running, different games across the board, and while the i5 does manage to eke out a few extra frames here and there overall, which means that yes, the i5 still does have a gaming advantage, let's face it, the Ryzen 5 1400 with 8 threads is going to outperform the i5 in a lot of different tasks that are away from gaming. Things such as encoding or rendering videos. Different tasks like that are going to be won by Ryzen 5 1400 just because it has more threads. They even managed to overclock it, what appears to be the 3.8 gigahertz without too much issue, running on the stealth cooler that came with it, so that's pretty impressive as well. Overall, Ryzen 5 looks to be pretty good, and coming in at what is supposed to be a price of $169. I say supposed to be because most of the time, retailers, for some reason, always sell above MSRP. It happens with the video cards, happens with CPUs. In this case, I hope they stick closer to it, because at $169, Ryzen 5 could be a real issue for Intel in their i5 line, which could see different drops in pricing there, or just better CPUs coming out in the future. There's no real word, and I'm not really sure when the NDA is up for a lot of different reviewers and YouTubers and everything, but rest assured, when they do come out, everyone's going to be scrutinizing these results heavily, because it looks more and more like AMD and Intel are back in an actual legitimate war with these CPUs. This next bit of news is actually really funny. I saw this, and I didn't report on it before because I just thought it was so dumb, but everyone's talking about it, and I thought I'd weigh in on it as well. If you're not aware, Mass Effect Andromeda has been having some issues, specifically with like facial features and animations in cutscenes, and it's become kind of a laughingstock of the internet. But it's not a laughingstock for people who are fans of the series, because it's downright embarrassing to anyone who really enjoys the series and wants to take it seriously. So what does BioWare do? They decide to, instead of just give us a straight announcement, they are giving us a preview of their announcement to then fix these issues. This was done on Twitter. They put a picture up, and I'll show it to you here. It's titled "To Our Players" and says, "It's been a week since we officially launched Mass Effect Andromeda worldwide, and we couldn't be more excited that our fans are finally experiencing everything we've worked so hard to create." Down through there, they explain that there is a lot of feedback coming back to them, which I think is an understatement, because it has become a running meme now online for what is tons and tons of facial animations that just look super weird and turn out to be hilarious. Walking animations in that game are probably my favorite thing ever online right now. From there, they go down to saying, "In the meantime, keep your feedback coming. Our team is listening, working around the clock to gather information, and plan out solutions to improve and build on Mass Effect Andromeda. We can't wait to share more of our immediate plans with you on Tuesday, April 4th. That's today, of course. Again, I haven't really covered this at all because it seems dumb to release a teaser towards bug fixes, basically. Or maybe they have something else worked out to where they will give players back some kind of value. I hope that what they're talking about here is going to somehow fix the issues, but since they did make that jump over to the Frostbite engine, I think it's just a new engine. They're not 100% sure yet on how to do it. We've seen some different things behind the scenes that may not be the best right now for them, with things like Glassdoor reviews, so hopefully they have something figured out. If they don't, it's just going to go down as just a hilarious bit of internet comedy with this game, and who knows, maybe the game itself actually is good, but everyone's just going to remember it for these quirky and weird animations. And do you remember Jak and Daxter on the PS2? If you were around during the PS2 era, its big heyday, you probably do remember this series. It was an awesome platformer, the visuals were really good at the time, and it was super fluid. Well, it looks like they're bringing it back to be on the PS4 as part of their PS2 classics. So what happened was Sony went to their blog on their website and started confirming all of these games coming out, which includes Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy, Jak 2, Jak 3. All of those are coming to the PlayStation 4 through the store, so you'll be able to go in there, buy it, and download it. Then apparently there's also the Jak X Combat Racing that was fun, but it's still not on the same level as these ones as platformer. That one's also heading to the PlayStation 4. All of this is happening sometime in 2017. They did at least give us a trailer, which looks cool. It looks like they're probably going to do things like smooth out some of the edges, much like how it would look if you popped a PS2 game into one of the backwards compatible PS3s, where it upscales to 1080 and has smoothing effects. Overall, if you have not played Jak and Daxter, maybe you're a little too young at the time and you missed it, check it out. It's a really cool series. I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. It definitely has kind of that early 2000s feel to it in terms of platforming, and it was really when platformers were a lot of fun and were really focused on, and they're not really focused on as much now. I hope Yooka-Laylee changes that, but we'll have to wait and see when it comes out and we can actually all sit down and play it. If you thought the Switch was anywhere near done selling in Japan, maybe having some issues, you might be wrong, because it looks like they have actually jumped heavily from last week's sales on Media Create, which reports all the different hardware and software sales in Japan for different games and consoles, in this case the Switch, the PS4, even the Wii U still, strangely. But it looks like the Switch has actually jumped up almost 30,000 units from the week before, going from 49,913 to 78,441 units sold in Japan. Altogether, this puts the Switch over 500,000 units moved in Japan easily. And again, it does not look like there is any stopping the Switch in Japan. I don't think anyone's surprised. It's built for Japan first, because Japan is very big on the mobile scene, and I just don't think the Switch is going to slow down, and it's definitely going to pass the PS4 pretty quickly, considering the PS4 passed the Wii U pretty recently, and the Wii U obviously did not sell well, but the Switch is selling really well. It's doing really well. Their marketing has been good. Overall, they launched with a great game with Zelda. It's what a lot of people want, which is a system that can go with you, because a lot of us have faster moving lifestyles, especially as you get older. You have less TV time, you have more walking around time, or really going to work or responsibilities with things at home where you cannot get on the TV, but maybe the system can go with you for 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay at a time. Certain games are coming out that really use that ability, that are actually harnessing that ability. Things like Zelda can be saved anywhere. Has Been Heroes really takes advantage of that with its roguelike. Binding Isaac, same thing. So a lot of these games are coming out to take advantage of that, and I think at this point it's selling well, but all the games are not there yet. And if E3 comes through and does really well for the Switch, it is going to be interesting to see how long until it passes the PS4 in Japan, and how long until really it passes the Xbox One overall worldwide. Now, I'm leaving the PS4 out worldwide for now with the Switch, because that's a tall order. The PS4 has sold tremendously well, and it would be very difficult for the Switch to catch it. But if the Switch can pass the Wii U sales numbers in its first year to year and a half for the Wii U's lifetime sales, that would be a win for Nintendo, and it would be very interesting to see if they can hit the 30 to 40 million mark with the Switch before they inevitably release that revision, or that Switch 2 or Switch XL, whatever they call it, and do harness power of that X2 chip, which would pretty much guarantee 1.5 to twice the battery life. And there's been more reports, speaking of the Switch, by the way, there's been more reports of the Switch having some little technical difficulties. The big one now is apparently the Switch is warping when it's in the dock. Currently, there's a couple people on Reddit that are posting this, taking pictures of it from the top down, so you can kind of see it from a profile view of the edge, and you can see that it is having some rounded parts of it, and that's going to happen if it's plastic and it gets hot. They did put that metal frame, and I'm almost positive that's why that metal frame's in there, by the way, is to try to keep it straight. So they knew it was going to do some flexing, and realistically, a lot of things like these do flexing. Laptops flex a lot, and you may not notice it. Anything's made out of plastic and it gets hot, generally will flex over its lifetime in some way. So this isn't new. A lot of people like to pretend like it is. In fact, this may also be from the Nintendo's plastic screen on the front. It may also help with the flexing, since a lot of things where it has glass can help it by holding onto it with its glue. But I wouldn't get too worried. Really, they're designed to be able to flex. It's not going to affect it in a negative way. And what's really funny is over time, it may actually end up bending back on its own. But as we go down the line, I'm sure internally the Switch will change without really anything on the outside changing. They may add more supports. Consoles go through internal revisions all the time. A lot of people don't know this. There's like 7 to 8 different PS4s internally, but they don't tell you because it looks the same on the outside. It's small little revisions internally. The Xbox 360 went through probably 12, and most people didn't know it. I'm talking about the older white model. Went through about 12 revisions. Most people have no idea. The last bit of news today comes from our good friends over at Cemu, which is the Wii U emulator that is making rounds right now online, and the big update, 1.7.4, now makes Zelda Breath of the Wild completely playable at 4K resolution. There's a pretty good looking video online right now that shows them playing it, and you can turn it all the way up to 2160, I believe, at 60 frames, and it looks really, really good. A lot of people are kind of frustrated by this because, keep in mind, this is a game that is out right now. This is very new for emulation. Usually you emulate a game that is pretty old. In this case, they are emulating a game that is still purchasable at Walmart, at GameStop, on the eShop. And this is where things get interesting. What they should do, and this is me personally, they should incorporate some way to do a lockout to where you need the game itself, or you need some way to prove that you've purchased the game, because yes, they're making great strides. That's awesome. It's really cool to see technology and programming like this kind of move forward, especially in the emulation world, because emulators do help us play games for systems that really just aren't available anymore. But this could potentially hurt Nintendo if people just start downloading the game and playing it on their PC without buying it. If you want to play it, it's worth it. Buy the game at least if you want to emulate it, and play it, because it's emulating a Wii U, which is a system that is essentially on its way out or dead at this point because they are not making them anymore. So that's not a big deal to emulate that system to me, because Nintendo is not looking to make money on it anymore. But they are looking to make money on Zelda for the Wii U. So if you're enjoying the game, if you're going to sit down and play it at your computer after downloading it for 30, 40 hours, go out and just buy the game, because you've had your time out of it. The developers who have made that game deserve the money. I've said this before. So why not give them the money, enjoy the game on your computer? I don't think it's a big deal. And everybody wins. They get the money for their game. You get an awesome game. Breath of the Wild is great. It looks awesome in 4K at 60 frames. I'd be a fool to say I wish it didn't play like that on the Switch, because I wish it did. But it's a great game either way. Buy it, give the developers the money, and enjoy it. Also, I want to point out their Patreon has done nothing but grow. I think it's over $32,000 or $33,000 a month since this recording now, and it keeps climbing. I checked it one day, it was at like 29. The next day it was at 31,000. Now it's 32. It just keeps climbing. People are really donating heavily, and that's why Cemu is making these kind of jumps in advancements right now. It went from not being able to play Breath of the Wild weeks ago to being able to play it fully at 4K pretty much. So they're going to continue working on compatibility. I do think their Patreon stuff will start to fall off as the emulator gets built and completed, in which case they'll move on to something else. And I hate to say it, guys, but the Switch, believe it or not, because it's running a Tegra processor, would probably be relatively easy to emulate overall, because it's not like an unknown weird combination of chips or anything. It's something that I'm sure if they put their mind to it, they could emulate a Switch. I think at that point, though, Nintendo would shut it down, because that would badly damage their sales if all of a sudden you could download an emulator for, I mean, seriously, for the Switch, and it would be easier to run the Switch emulator than the Wii U, just because it's more current technology, they know what they're working with, and it would just overall be more compatible with computers. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let me know if you about anything we talked about today, whether it's the Ryzen 5 leak. Maybe you're looking to get one of those Ryzen 5 processors. I am really, really looking at it right now, and I'm actually looking at it for a different reason than you guys might. I'm looking at it to build a gaming computer that may end up being given away depending on the sub counts that we reach. So stay tuned to the channel for that. If you're really looking into getting a gaming computer, you might end up getting one for free. Let me know what you think about Jak and Daxter. Maybe you enjoyed that way back in the day, and you're happy to see it on the PS4 in its full glory, possibly at 1080, which would be awesome. Or maybe you're looking forward to this weird Mass Effect Andromeda fix that was teased. It's happening today, so you may even be watching this now, and it may have already happened. But I'll keep an eye on that too, and talk to you guys about it next time on Newswave. I will see you guys then.